Dear sister, it's been a while since we've had our last conversation. I told you a time that I couldn't get over my situation. You said, keep your head up. You reminded me that I was more than that. So I'm here to say thank you because you held me down. To woman, you lift me up. I hope that I can do the same for you. You were there when no one else would. Take the burden away. That's how we do. Sister, I need you to walk with me on this journey. Yes, hold me accountable, cause sometimes I need to know the truth. Sister, I love you. We're one and the same. We're sharing the pain of the world as we know it to be. Uplifted and feeling good. It's because of a strong and faithful sister. No need to tear each other down tonight. All sisters all over the world. If you can just name one, then you're glad to have in your life. So go to her and say thank you because she holds you down. Woman to woman, you lift me up. I hope that I can do the same for you. You were there when no one else would. Take the burden away. That's how we do it. Sister, I need you to walk with me on this journey. Yes, hold me accountable, cause sometimes I need to know the truth. Sister, I love you. We're one and the same, cause we're sharing the pain of the world as we know it to be. This song is dedicated to my sisters all over the world. It was inspired by the Woman to Woman show, hosted by Trey Carney, recipient of the 2014 Journalist Awards. Ladies, let us bond together and restore love back into our society. Sister, I need you to walk with me on this journey. Yes, hold me accountable, cause sometimes I need to know the truth. Sister, I love you. We're one and the same, cause we're sharing the pain of the world as we know it to be. Sister, I need you to walk with me on this journey. Yes, hold me accountable, cause sometimes I need to know the truth.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Woman to Woman show. Happy Thursday. Welcome to our Periscope family. We see y'all on all three of our phones. Welcome to Periscope land. Welcome to the Woman to Woman show. I'm Trey Kearney.
This your girl C.
And to my left today, we have a very special guest in the building. I'm psyched up, souped up, and amped up for this one because y'all don't even know this topic is real heavy for me. We have Rahiem J. Allen. Hold on, Newark's very own.
Yes.
Rahiem J. Allen, the author From the Streets to the Sanctuary.
Yes.
So we're going to get right into this because we need a lot of time for this topic. Somebody said they told me they was coming back. Well, welcome back. So the topic tonight is sins of the father, right? So we are talking about fathers having a mandatory law for the father to have to be in their son's life. And we're talking about sons today. So I don't want you to call and I don't want you to email. I don't want you to text me and say, what about the daughters? We're being very specific here for a reason tonight. And we did daddies, girls, when we first came on air here. So we want to stick to the topic because a lot of times we get off topic and we don't get a solution. And the one thing I want you guys to know, always on a woman to woman show, we are not here to expose any specific person. We are not here to male bash. We're not here to expose anybody's boyfriend, husband, or fiance. What we're here to do is to expose the problem. And the problem is our boys, our sons are falling through the cracks because their fathers are not in their life. And we maybe need to take some different steps. We're quick as women to go, and I know some of us, we have to do this. It's mandatory. We need to, because a man is not providing for our child and our children are going out without financially. So we're quick to run down to the court to child support to get money, but we're not quick to run to child support to say that our children need their fathers in their lives. So we're going to get right into it. First of all, I think, this is just my opinion, and I'm going to pass it off to Rahiem really quickly, because the reason why I wanted him here, because when I first did this topic, he wasn't initially a guest. And then I remembered reading his book. And I said, oh my God, I have to have Rahiem here. So I text his wife. I was like, Deja, you Rahiem is available.
So you see texting wives now.
That's how I do. That's a respect. That's a respect factor. This is how we have to learn how to live as women. Even though Deja is great and she's comfortable and we know each other, for a respect factor, I wanted her to know, I would like to be on the show. And she kind of sort of the agent anyway.
Yes,
no.
She is. Yes, she is.
Boss life.
So
Yes, she is.
this is the thing right here. I think that the law should be mandatory because our children need their fathers. A lot of women and a lot of men, well, mostly women, and I was surprised, was saying that you can't force somebody to be in somebody's life because that may be more detrimental to the child. How much more detrimental could it be if the father is in the life of the child? I don't think it's forcing anybody. I think there's a difference between blaming a person and holding them accountable, because blaming causes guilt and accountability causes growth. So do you think the law should be mandatory?
I most definitely think that the law should be mandatory for fathers to be in their children's lives. And basically what I believe is that it should be a co-parenting situation. But as far as men, a lot of times we need the training, we need the influence of men. Because I can remember just going as far back as growing up in the city, and all of my male teachers, I remember them by name, and I remember their influence, I remember their strength, I remember their power. And I believe that men know how to manipulate women even at an early age, even from childhood. And if a man's voice just come up and they say something, you're going to definitely get in line.
Wow.
And I just think it need to be accountability on every level. Responsibility from a place of the wife or the mother, making sure that the man is accountable and responsible and being the best man that he can be in their children's lives, and they can work together.
See, this is why I wanted to have you here. And I want the women on here who are listening, I'm going to need you to get your notepads out, because a lot of times we listen to take offense instead of listening to get the help that we need. Because we want to say that once we get scorned, and this is the problem that I'm having right now, once we get scorned, we start trying to, manipulate the situation to use our kids against the father when we get scorned. I need women to understand that you can't raise a man.
Okay.
I don't care how hard you are, how many men were in your life. You can't raise a man. There are things that goes on in a boy's life, and I'm talking about a boy now, going from a boy to a teen to a man. There are things that go on in that man's mind, hormonal, in his body, below his belt, that we just cannot explain, and that can go terribly wrong if there's not a man in his life. I just want to read something from your book.
Okay.
Now, this is Raheem's book, and I'm going to read from this book because this is deep, and I need y'all to understand that we have a brother here who lived this. First of all, your first chapter was born into adversity.
Yes.
Let me just go right there, because I read the book, and I know that when you came home from the hospital soon after,
Yes.
your mom was a single mom.
Exactly.
So
right away.
talk right away. So I need you to just talk about that a little bit, because I need people to understand that this didn't just happen to you. We're not just making this up, that born into adversity.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. I was born in Newark, and my father, he abdicated his responsibility right away. So basically it was a situation where, as though I was born and I had to, be raised in a house with a mother and two sisters. And it was a challenging time. And when you're young, when you're a kid, you really don't know what you're going through, because you're a baby. So you just have to go with the flow. but I can go as far back as remembering when I was 5 years old. And a lot of times people don't want to keep it real, but one thing about me is I'm totally transparent. My mother, she had to work, she had to go to school. So in essence, she was left. We were left home, so we were latchkey kids. So we had older children that were, living in our neighborhood. We lived on 22nd Street, and it was a lot of people living in that same apartment building. And one thing that I can remember is that they used to play catch a girl, get a girl. So
I remember
in
that.
essence, so exactly. So in essence, things that are waking up and things that are evolving in your life, you just feel like, man, okay, it just becomes a part of you. So when you're born into that thing, you just feel like it's a natural way of life. But that's where the imbalance, where the father, if the father was there and the mother had to go to work, I mean, either one, if the father had to go to work or the mother had to go to work.
But you know
always
what?
had
You said
imbalance.
in your book that your mother worked a couple of jobs.
Yeah, she worked two
And she
jobs,
went
and
to
she went to
school.
school.
So that father's absence was a major
Was a
thing
major
going on
part.
in your house. So
Exactly.
people don't understand that. But I do want to read this from the book because this is
Exactly.
this is really the reason why I have you here, because people need to
Exactly.
understand when a father's not in the house, a lot of
It's
things
major.
go on. A lot of things happen to young men that's
Yes.
beyond their control.
Exactly.
So it says, an absent father, a father to the fatherless, Psalm 68:5.
Yes.
My father's absence had a profound effect on my life. During my teen years, the one point that stands out in my mind most was how badly I missed my dad. This was ironic because I only vaguely knew him. I can only recall the red tricycle visit at age 5. Yet every day after that, I had this emptiness, this longing inside to be with him. I wanted to be just like him, whatever that meant. And I had a strong yearning to have his protection and love in my life. At times, the pain was unbearable, and I needed this void in my life to be filled. The emptiness that I felt would take me years to overcome. The adverse conditions present in my life during that time will one day be the basis for the struggles that I battle to overcome to this day. Without component was missing, and I do believe it impeded the progress of my life. When I was 11, we moved from Irvington to Newark. My mother still allowed me to play Little League Baseball in Irvington. My sister and I were latchkey kids as mom worked in New York and went to school in New Jersey and was always enrolled in some type of classes. She warned me that when the game was over, to catch the bus before it got dark. Of course, I hung out with my friends for a few hours. Now it was dark. I'm sort of in trouble. The bus never came. A tall, dark-skinned man drove up in a dark, newer model American car. Hey, little guy, why are you out so late? I missed the bus. Do you need a ride? Nah, it's coming soon. I could give you a ride, you know. All I was thinking that I had to beat my mother home. I was definitely going to be in trouble if she got home from her job and I wasn't there. She would surely call my Uncle James. Okay, I live on Clinton Avenue in Newark. Oh, yeah, I know where that is. Get in. I got in and he made small talk about baseball since I was in my uniform. Do you need any money, he asked. I guess so. He reached in the compartment and handed me a $20 bill. This was big bucks for an 11-year-old. As he handed it to me, he placed his hands on my genitals. I jerked my leg, and he began to rub me. He said he would give me $20 if I let him do that again. He gave me his number and told me to call him anytime I needed money. We were so broke, and $20 went a long way.
Exactly.
Where was my dad? I really needed you, man. A few weeks later, I wanted to go to a party and did not have the money to go travel to get in. Yes, I was going to parties at a young age. I called the guy. He picked me up and drove me to the park. Just when he pulled over, but God, a police car appeared right behind us. They yanked me out of the car and began questioning the guy. What are you doing with this boy? We were just talking. I'm a good friend of the family. The cops took me to their car and put me in the back seat. They searched his car and found a machete trunk.
Yeah.
So they called for backup to deal with this guy. Then they put me back in the back seat of the car and drove me home, lecturing me all the way. Why would you get in the car with a stranger? Please don't tell my mother. Please just don't tell her. Do you know what could have happened to you in this park? You look like a smart kid. You should never, you know better. Officer, please just don't tell my mother. Okay, on one condition. You promise to never get into a car with a strange man again. I promise. This event could have turned out differently, and I could have been affected more than I was. The long-term effects of this situation produced within me a sex drive that was out of control. I believe that if my father were in my life back then, he would have been a part of my baseball activities and may have accompanied me to my game as I got older. As I got older, I picked up the Star Ledger and saw that a longtime community karate instructor had died. I looked closely at the picture and realized it was a tall, dark-skinned guy who violated me years ago. Little did I know that God was present, protecting me all the time. He is a father to the fatherless. He put men in place to look after my general well-being. He and guided me like my Uncle James.
Yes.
That's
That was
real.
major. That
That
was major.
that's
Thank
real.
God.
That's real.
That's real.
Like that almost brought me to tears. Because first of all, because if your father had been there, like you said,
Exactly.
you may not have been violated and had to deal with that at such a young age.
Exactly.
And we didn't have the internet back then. So to be physically in that situation is so scary. And second of all, the man had a machete
Exactly.
in the trunk to
Exactly.
probably chop you up.
Exactly.
So
Put
let's
you in a hood house.
just let's talk. I want you to just talk about that experience
Okay.
right now and how that made you feel about your father, because you said, where are you, Dad? Like, where are you?
I mean, it was major because I knew that, if my father was there, he would have been at the game. He would have,
Yes.
brought me home, or either it would have been a vice versa thing. I wouldn't have been 11 years old catching the bus from Irvington to Clifton Avenue in North Newark. So it put me in
Yes.
a situation where, all I was just a young kid. Even though, like I said, we were playing catch a girl, get a girl, but I still wasn't like engaged in physical
Yeah.
activity. So
Yeah,
I
you
really
didn't know.
So I really didn't know exactly like what was going on, and it could have led me down a path where as though I could have went another way. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
I could have went that way completely.
Yeah,
You know
your
what I mean?
sexuality
My
could have been
sexuality was,
changed.
but because in my mind, I'm like, okay, it was something that Tyler Perry talked about on Oprah Winfrey. He was
Yes,
talking
yes.
about how his body betrayed him. So for you getting, aroused from another man at 11 years old, you're like, hold on, what's going on here?
It's bad, but it
So
feels good.
exactly. So like 2 years later, I just went a warpath. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I just really just gave into that thing, and that produced, like I said in the book, a sex drive that was crazy. But I was just really acting out the pain. So it wasn't until I got the psychotherapy that I needed.
Yes, yes,
From a man psychotherapist. He helped me out and
yes.
helped me to understand that was something that was happened to me, but it's nothing that can hold
It
me.
happened to you, but it's not
Exactly.
you.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I'm gonna ask you one more question, then we're gonna get
Okay.
our go to our next segment.
Okay.
You said that y'all was broke, that
Yeah, we was
$20 was
broke.
a lot of
Yeah, we was
money.
broke.
So somewhere inside of you, did you feel like you needed to provide for your family at 11 as being an 11-year-old boy because your father wasn't there?
I mean, just taking the pressure off my mother. My mother, she was a great mother. She did what she had to do. So I just had to like, really take the pressure off of her. So in essence, like, I felt like, okay, whatever I got to do to get money.
Yes.
So at 11 years old, that situation arose. So I'm just like, all right,
I get money.
whatever,
Yeah. He
whatever,
offered me
you know what I mean?
$20.
Yeah. So it was crazy. It was real.
Question
And I
for you.
just,
Wow.
go ahead.
Did you ever, or were you able to confide in your sisters about what was going on?
No,
No.
I mean, it was only like two incidences, so it wasn't like it was an ongoing situation. It just happened that one time when I caught the bus, and then that other time when I wanted to go to a party, and then when the cops arrested
Yes.
him, that was it. I mean, I don't know if they arrested him or not, but they just like because I never had to go to court or testify on anything. So I ain't really tell anybody till I was like 24, 25.
Wow.
Wow.
I told the
11 to 24.
psychotherapy, so I just like really just held that thing forever.
See,
My mother
this,
didn't know
go
till
ahead.
later.
Yeah, this is why we need to have these very necessary conversations, because some man listening to this is still carrying that at 45
Exactly.
because he doesn't know how to let it go. Some man is confused, or some boy is confused about his sexuality because somebody inappropriately touched him and
Exactly.
he doesn't have a father to talk to.
Exactly.
These conversations are so necessary because,
Yes, it is.
and this book is so necessary because it's going to free so many men
Yes, it
to
is.
not live in bondage on something they had no control over.
No
Some of us need healing because we've been through some situations that we didn't have control over, but it's embarrassing.
Exactly.
And I thank you for your transparency.
Exactly.
And it's just a true sign. And I tell everybody this because, my book is Healing Time. It's all about
Yes.
healing. I always tell people when you're able to be transparent, it's a true sign of your healing because you're no longer hiding behind it, because you're no longer that person. You're no longer
Exactly.
in it. But I'm so
Exactly.
proud of you to be
Thank you.
able to, and in my book, I talk about my committing adultery. So when we face our biggest fears, that one thing that we don't want to talk about, that we don't want nobody to know you committed adultery. So people are like, you gonna put that in your book? Like you said about that.
Exactly.
Your editor, like, you
Like
gonna
my
leave
kids
that?
are like, yeah. He
Believe
like, yo,
it.
why? Oh, word. All right. You
Yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
because you start thinking,
Yeah.
like, what is my boys gonna think? So we're gonna get to our next segment really,
Okay.
really quickly. So is there a doctor in the house?
There sure is. I'm listening to the show. That's some good content.
Oh, thank you,
Thank you.
thank you, thank you. We
Thank
have
you.
Dr. D. Yvonne Young on the phone for our weekly question of the week. So we have a question. I'm gonna get to the question, but it was a long email, so I'm gonna get right to the question because we don't need to do the whole email. So a guy wants to know, do men get Valentine's Day gifts on Valentine's Day? Because he had a discussion with his wife. This is a little bit of the email. He had a discussion with his wife, and she joked about that he's acting like a girl or he's acting gay. So do men get gifts on Valentine's Day?
Well, let me address that from several angles. As you know, there are 5 love languages, and one of them is acts of service. Another one is quality time. Another is words of affirmation. Another is physical touch. But one of the biggest ones is gifts. And some people, they feel that their validation comes from you going out your way and giving them something to show that, you know what, on this day that's supposed to be so special, I want to feel special. Now, the truth be told, I really don't believe that has a damn thing to do with a man being gay or not. But it does have something to do with a need for validation that's associated with tangibility. And typically for some other person to be able to look at this individual and say, yeah, I see your girl got you something. What I would say to any man or woman is, prior to getting into a relationship, you need to talk to people and ask them, you know, what is it that makes you feel special or feel acknowledged or valued?
Yes.
Gifts may not be it. You know, for other people, it could be, today, I just want you to spend some time with me.
Yeah.
For someone else, I want you to help me clean up after you, and instead of you cleaning up, having me be your damn maid all day. So these are things that we should inquire about at every stage of a relationship, whether it's the beginning, the middle, and especially if it's coming to an end. You need to talk and find out who you're dealing with.
Yes.
Yes, because I don't believe in getting no man no gift for Valentine's Day. So
Me
if you
neither.
want to date me, I ain't
get
getting you
nothing.
nothing. I will get you a card, but I think it's a girly holiday myself. So,
Okay.
but like you said, Dr. Young, that's very good advice to have these conversations, because people will catch feelings, because clearly this man wants a gift.
And he want a big one.
Yeah.
I don't know if he want a big gift.
Hey, you know, sometimes the best gift, though, can be you. So when you're dealing with anybody, but especially men, very few men have an attitude about holidays, period, because, as you know, Father's Day is one of the, if you try to measure retail sales on that day, every year they probably go down instead of up. But the truth be told, what men want from women is to feel appreciated, to feel valued, and to feel respected. If you do that for your man, any day is Valentine's Day.
Well, you better preach, Dr. D. Yvonne Young, on here today,
Yes.
talking that good stuff.
It made me cry.
Yes, so can you tell our listeners where they can find you at? And please tell them about your book.
Oh yeah, let's talk about a couple of things tonight. When this excellent program goes off, you guys can catch me on Periscope. It'll be 9:00 Eastern, 8:00 Central, 6:00 Pacific. But you can just type in Dr. D and spell like Ivan, Dr. D Ivan Young, and don't you call me that, it's Yvonne. On anything from Instagram to LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, you name it, we're on it. So we want to hear from you. And moreover, if you're going through something and you really don't know what to do next, don't hesitate to pick up a phone and call my office at 877-508-2025. That's 877-508-2025, extension 102. And hell no, it's not free, but like anything in life, if you've got to invest in everything else, isn't it about time that you took the respect for yourself and invested in you.
Yes.
So give us a call and we can help you.
Thank you so much, Dr. D. Yvonne Young. We love
Yes.
talking to you. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you.
All right. Love you guys. Have a great evening, ladies.
Take care. Nice
Love
meeting
you too. Bye-bye.
Nice meeting you.
It's a great show.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So we're going to get right back to our topic because it ain't no sense in even taking a break because you know what, Rahiem? Normally we'll take little breaks, but ain't nobody got time for that today because this is good. So how do you, in your book, you said my father's absence had a profound effect on me, right? And then you said you saw him, and I'm just going back to what I know because they didn't read the book yet, but they about to all go get it. That he came at 5 years old and surprised you, and you were waiting for him. He came with a red tricycle. When was the next time you saw him after that?
The next time I saw him, I think I was 13. I was 13 years old. The next time I remember seeing him. So I went from 5, and then I started running track, and then we used to travel to North Carolina, and then that's where he moved to.
Yeah.
He moved to North Carolina, and then he came over and saw me. And
Okay,
that was the next time I saw him.
So do you think that he didn't see you because he didn't love you?
Yeah, big time, big time. Like even right now, you know, like I feel I feel pain for that.
Yes.
You know, even right now, at 43, you know, like when you said it, you know, like pain went through me, you know, because I felt that. Because I felt like, why would you, you know, leave me out there like that?
Yes.
And then also leave sisters, because we've been
Yes.
through a lot of pain, all of us, you know, so it was
So
rough.
you said also in your book, and you said you missed him and you were longing for him. How do you miss what you never had?
I mean, because it was one guy. Because after that, you know, I started, you know, really acting out, and I started like fighting up, and I was like really like, you know, so I was fighting this one guy who had a father. So his father said, you know what, I'm gonna just take you to the park, and he actually took me to the park to play baseball, actually.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
so he the one took me to the park, and then I saw how they related, and I was like, man, I want a father.
Oh,
You know, and then I was just like, man, I don't have that. So my heart just was breaking because I was just like, man, I was in the house with women, my mother, my 2 sisters, my aunts. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man, where's my father? You know, so we adopted my uncle, as we called him Uncle
Uncle
Daddy.
Daddy. Yes, I saw
Yeah.
that in the
Aw, that's
book.
cute.
Exactly. So he was my surrogate father.
So when you did reconnect with your father as an adult,
Mhm.
was there a miss there?
Was it a what?
A miss? Like, did it seem odd? Could you connect with him?
Yeah. We connected. We connected because it's something I always wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't reconnect till I was like 23. So from 13, and then I saw him like then we talked periodically, and then at 23, that's when we connected fully, and then we connected like it was always there.
I
And
want you
forgave
to
him.
talk about some of the problems that you had. Like you said, you were out of control in some areas of your life.
Yeah.
I want you to talk about some of the areas of your life where you were out of control due to the fact that your father wasn't in your life.
I mean, basically, it's that money situation. So, you know, that situation that happened when I was 11 years old, you know, that was a one isolated situation. But then I started, like, you know, hustling, you
Yeah.
know, because it was in part of my environment. So I just connected with the hustlers. I started connected with the drug dealers, and they were surrogate fathers, if you will, or surrogate big brothers. And then they just, like, you know, really introduced us to making money on the illegal tip. So then we just started, like, you know, just doing that. So I was just struggling with discipline. I didn't have no discipline. I didn't want to go to school. I wouldn't go to school. If I wanted to go away out the state, I would just go.
Oh,
I didn't have any discipline at all. I just was doing whatever I wanted to do. Reckless.
yeah.
I was
So
living reckless.
wow. So
Big
I
time.
said this. I said that at your age, how old were you at this time, or about what age do you, if you remember?
When I started hustling, that's when you know, I was like 15.
15.
I was 15.
This is why I said, why shouldn't your father, if you had got locked up and had a bid to do, let's say 14 years, I felt like, this is just my opinion. A lot of people went against it and said, or some people went against it and said, why should the father do the time for the crime that the son committed? Because then the son wouldn't learn. I'm not saying tell the kids. I'm saying the father should have to do 7.5. The son should have to do 7.5. Because had you been there, right, the sins of the father, you dropped the ball. Had you been there, your son would have had the discipline that was required instead of walking over his mother. Because I had, I had 3 boys.
Yes,
And my boys is huge.
exactly.
So at some point he swelled up on me. He never hit me, but I got it under control because I went and got a broomstick.
Exactly.
But if his father was there, he wouldn't have even tried that. And
That's
his
true.
father's in his life,
That's true.
but he's just not in the home with us. So I
That's
can't
true.
even imagine a father that's nowhere to be found. So do you think that it would help our situation if the father had to be penalized for the things that an adolescent teen boy did?
I mean, definitely, because it goes back. It goes back to his his father's father. You know what I mean?
Cycle.
Because basically the cycle. Yeah. So if you have something that was implemented, that'll make a strong revolution because now men will make sure, like, you know what, I got to do what I have to do to make sure that my children are in line. Because after, go ahead.
Because there'll be
You
consequences.
mentioned that as far as the cycle is concerned, I recently just met a fellow your age,
Okay.
and he was visiting his son in the psychiatric ward
Exactly.
because his son is allegedly dealing with a crime. You know, I'm not going to put his business out there, but
Understood.
however, he's now trying to be in his son's life so much because his son is now in a situation. So, you know, just looking at somebody, you don't know what's going on. But we went on the elevator together, and he was telling me that he did 22 years.
Exactly.
And he wasn't in his son's
Yes.
life. So now he's like, ever since he got out, he's been trying to do the right thing.
Exactly.
However, at the time, he has a baby here, he got a baby here, he got a baby there. So these kids are grown now.
Exactly.
And he's like, you know, he feels horrible and he wished that he would have been there.
Exactly.
So, like you were saying, it's like a cycle.
It's a cycle,
And
major cycle.
And I feel like you said, if the father is not present, right? Just say my son, I have a 16-year-old. Just say he gets a girl pregnant and his father's in his life. He doesn't live at home with us, but he's in his life. Just say he wasn't in his life at all. And my son gets a 16-year-old girl pregnant. Guess who's going to pay child support?
I know.
Me, the mother. Guess who's going to buy Pampers for the baby? Me, the mother. So why shouldn't the father of my son have to kick in with me? And the women are saying, you can't force a person to do it. I'm forced every day to take care of my kids.
That's true.
Now, fathers get up and walk out with other girlfriends and other families for whatever reason they leave.
Like Mike
And when the situation is dissolved, the father gets to walk out. If I got up tomorrow morning and just walked out with my clothes and stuff and left my 16-year-old and my 6-year-old in the house together by themselves and said, couple weeks passed by, maybe they might be able to survive for a couple weeks.
Exactly.
But then the school, the police, and everybody will be looking for me. Why aren't the fathers accountable?
See, the issue, I mean, just thinking about it, when I was coming down here and I was thinking about it and listening to you, the accountability level will skyrocket.
Thank you.
You will see a revolution in parenting from both sides.
Yes,
and
yes.
the men will definitely know that there will be repercussions.
Yes.
Because, I mean, thinking about it now, it is a crime to leave
It
your
is.
children.
Say that
You
again.
You know,
Wait,
it's a
hold up.
crime. It's a crime to leave your children because you are exposing them to so much. I know we're talking about sons today, and if I mean, we need to have another segment
We do.
on what my sisters went through. You know, one of my sisters is deceased.
Wow.
And it was, you know, at the helms, and I can definitely go back to the point of my father. My father was there. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
I mean, so what you're saying is major, and I even had a revolution thinking about it because I had children at a very early age. And,
How old were you when you had your first?
My first, I was 16.
See?
I had a daughter. I had my first daughter when I was 16,
Mm-hmm.
and then my son. But the issue that my son's mother used to do, she actually, because we broke up,
Yeah.
you know, because just being real, you know, and I apologize to women, you know, I hit her, you know,
Yes.
and it wasn't a little smack, it was a
Yeah,
hit.
yeah.
So we broke up completely, and when we broke up, she used to drop my son off.
Yeah.
Right. And I would say, hold on, I'm going somewhere. She was like, all right. And she used to, like on TV, when they
Take it with you.
drop the kid, she
Yeah.
would drop him and leave.
Yes,
And
yes.
it was just so hilarious that she used to just say, I don't care if I gotta get a babysitter, you handle it. Bye. And just go for the
That's
whole
what I'm
weekend.
talking about.
So
See?
that's real.
The
so what you're
accountability.
saying is major. So that accountability level is definitely at a high level.
Because like I said, go ahead.
The only accountability that I see that men, I guess, fall back on is the child support.
That's it.
That's the only thing. It's
But
like,
that's not
oh, child
them.
support.
No.
But the monetary things are not what's important. Like you said, you remember your bike, but the
Yes.
bike is so small,
Yes.
especially since you remember the age that you were, and you're like,
Exactly.
listen, he came, yeah, he bought a bike, so what? But he spent 3 hours with me that day. Then
Exactly.
the next time I see him when I was 23, we did this together.
Exactly.
So those are the things that's really supposed to be important.
Exactly.
The child support.
child support.
That's minute.
That's
And the whole thing about it is people are saying you can't force somebody to do something.
Yeah, you
We're
can.
not forcing you. We're holding you accountable. If you want to suffer the consequences, hey, that's up to you. Listen, if you don't show up, just like if your child support check don't show up, there's a warrant for your arrest. So when you get stopped for a stoplight or you get somewhere in the store and they feel like doing a check, and it's a warrant out for your arrest, and you like, for what? For child support.
Yeah.
Well, there's a warrant out for your arrest because you didn't show up on February 16th on your time that you were supposed to spend with your children, who are so very worth your time. And yes, sometimes men need to be held accountable. It's not that they don't want to be in their children's life. It's because they have a choice. I've moved on to another woman, and I just don't have time for those kids anymore. Not that I don't love them, but nobody's telling me I got to do it. So why should I? Why shouldn't I just sit home with my new girl and our new kids and our new life? Why do I have to take extra chunks out of my time? My day is already full. But if somebody's holding them accountable, they will show up. You come get your kids and take them. And if you live in another state, then we give you 2 times out of the month. You have to make it your business to Skype, because we have Skype. You can't FaceTime. So how do you, what's some suggestions that you have for men who are listening right now?
I mean, my suggestions for men is to man up. You know? I mean, man up. I see that sign over there where it says man up. I believe that, listen, they need to really man up. And I believe that women can really create or sustain a revolution as well. Because one thing about my son's mother and my daughter's mother, actually, she didn't stay around. She left. You know, so my daughter's grandmother raised her, but they held me at such a high level of accountability. It was just like, whoa. So my suggestion or recommendation for the brothers is to take their responsibility and make sure that they do what they need to do. Because if they don't do what they need to do, they will see the repercussions. Because a lot of times they don't feel like it's going to be a repercussion. But if you don't pay that child support, your license is going to is going to be taken.
Yes,
And all of that.
all of
So
that.
basically, like, being that you have a child, you need to make it you're right there. My wife, who I'm married to, she tell you quick, it's 50-50 here.
That's what I'm
You
saying.
know, she don't even play. Like, she's like, okay, you handle the morning, I handle at night.
That's it.
And then it's like, it is what it is. And
Yes.
sometimes, you know, even being a married man, sometimes you try to, like, you know,
Swindle out of it.
swindle out. Like, all right, I'm about to go. She not having it.
No.
Well, not tonight.
But it's the
it is a
accountability
complete balance.
piece.
It's the woman that can make us.
Yes, and it's the accountability of, no, you not. Like you said, your ex, I'm dropping him off on the curb. What you do with him now
Whatever
is
you
up
do,
to
that's
you.
up to you.
Bye.
You're gonna be held accountable.
Yes. We
She
have
knew I
a
wasn't gonna
caller.
hurt her.
We have a caller. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Lonnie calling from Atlanta.
Hi, Lonnie.
Hey,
How
Lonnie,
you
how are
doing?
you?
Hey, everybody.
Hey, give us your take on things.
Okay, so let me explain this from my point of view, because you know it's hard to get your point across with the limited amount of text and everything. So what you're saying, Trey, is if you walk away and leave your children at home, your son home with the 16-year-old son, you're going to get arrested. Of course you're going to get arrested because that's abandonment. Now, women have left their children with the father plenty of time. So what I'm saying is you cannot force, if that's the word we're going to use, your child or the father to be in the child's life. And I say this because I'm not force my brother's dad to be in his life. My brother has rejection issues. He turned to drugs. He's in jail right now, in and out of jail. My brother told me that he hated me because my dad was in my life.
But that's a different thing.
Suicide.
But that's a different thing. He hated you because your father was in your life. That has nothing to do with his father being in his life.
But he hated me because his father rejected him. I mean, these are the things that he also really don't have a relationship with my mom, because this is what my mom pushed on him. My mom pushed his dad on him, knowing that his dad did not want to be bothered with him. So he resorted to drugs. I mean, and because when you're on drugs, you have to go to counseling. And these are the things that came out in counseling. He blames my mom for his dad rejecting him. He hates me because my dad was in my life, although my dad took care of him. Like, this conversation can go both ways. You can have a father and a child life that really don't want to be there, and he can soften up and probably really wants to be in the child's life. Or you can have a father that don't want to be in the child's life. He can reject them, and then that child can grow up like my brother. Someone rejects me, turn into drugs, trying to commit suicide, in jail right
But that's
understand.
but
Go ahead.
listening to what you're saying, it's like a degree if the father, not your brother, but the father would have known that it was a crime of him abandoning his son, he would have took greater recourses unless he was a rebel and a rebellious person that will go to jail. You know, because basically I'm not talking about when he's old, I'm talking about when he's young. Fathering don't start when the child is 13. A father starts as soon as the baby is really conceived. And you got to start creating that
Right.
relationship
This one,
beforehand. So
my
basically,
dad was in my brother's life. I'm sorry, cut you. My dad was in my brother's life from the time he was 2 years old. I wasn't even born when my mom and dad got together.
So the
Was
thing about it is, with a situation, there's going to be situations like the
isolated.
situation with your brother. But the thing about it is, a child, if the father's not ever in the child's life, if your brother's father was never in his life, your brother would still have rejection issues. So there may be some people whose father are still rejecting their child while the child is with them. But every kid whose father is not in his life, because there's no accountability, that child is feeling rejected.
Yep.
And we're not even talking about boys right now. We're talking about boys and girls. When the father is not in the life of the child has abandonment issues,
Yes.
rejection issues. We already know that that's going to happen from not giving the fathers mandatory laws to be in their children's life. So there will be an exception to the rule like your brother, but most men, and I'm going to say this, most men, let's say 8 out of 10, when they get with their kid and they have to be in the presence of their child, will soften up and will love their child. Because like I said before, most of the time the problem is not with the child, the problem is with the mother.
Yes, that is correct. And Lonnie, I just want to say something about what you were saying. I understand exactly what you're saying as far as your point of view is concerned. I'm going to give you an example, and this is a real life example. I hope he doesn't get me. I have a cousin. Now, he's about 30. I'm going to say he's the smartest out of all of us. Got accepted to Howard, all of that good stuff. However, he is not, he's very stagnant in his life because of the issues that we're speaking about today. He knows who his father is, but the fact that his father was around for the other kids and he wasn't as frequently around as this one, he blames his entire existence on the fact that this man is not there.
Exactly.
And I explained to him, at the end of the day, you cannot change yesterday. You can only move forward. And since your father is still present, you should speak to him about how you feel, so then you can get over what you're feeling, and then you can actually progress as an adult. Because a lot of people are holding these demons in there, and they're not last year demons. These are from '88.
Yes.
It's like we have to talk about this and break the cycle.
Yes.
Because now it's just now trickling. So he calls his sister and he wants to talk to his sister about the father. But however, they don't see eye to eye because he was in the sister's life.
Yes.
So he's like, oh, I hate daddy, da 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 da, but she can't say the same.
Yes.
And his main problem is the fact that he was not there for him. He was there for everybody else.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
if he was probably pushed, because I spoke to my cousin and I asked him, I said, what is the problem? His main problem is, he said, I feel like my father didn't fight for me.
Exactly.
I feel like my father didn't love me. He don't love me. He never wanted me.
Yes.
That's
So at 30, you
That's
still
painful.
holding on to this? I don't think you're going to progress.
That's painful.
All right. Thank you, Lonnie, for calling in. We really appreciate you. And we totally understand that there really are some exceptions to the rule where it can be harmful if the father's in the life. But we would have, if it was a mandatory law, then we would have classes. We would have supervised visits. Because if my son went somewhere with his father and my son came home and said, Daddy's making me feel some kind of way, then I have to take another step to say, we have to get some counseling, because it's mandatory that you see your child. And then the judge is going to say, if it's a problem, you need counseling. So you're going to have supervised visits to learn how to sit down and color with your child.
That's true.
So thank you, Lonnie.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Lonnie.
Bye-bye.
So if you want to call in, you can call in at 973-901-9646, 973-901-9646. And I'm sure Rahiem wouldn't mind answering any of your questions.
Yes.
So we have Rahiem here because I really think that he's an expert on this subject, because I feel like an expert is a person who's been through it, lived through it, grew through it, got through it, is still going through it and healing, and don't mind talking about
Exactly.
it. Is there something that you would like the listeners to know about your book that should stand out?
I mean, basically, that's the essence of it. Because a lot of times they see people in the inner city and they're actually like selling drugs, they're actually committing crimes, they're actually being abusive to women and being promiscuous and all of that. And basically, the essence of it, and that's how come I started my book out, "We're Born in Adversity," because that issue it's a lot of daddy issues. So this issue, when you said the sins of the father don't start with the immediate fathers. It starts with the father's father, the father's father's father, and basically, like when you saying when the law is instituted, and it's definitely a revolution. I believe that the things that we have to go through, they wouldn't have to go through. Like a lot of things, I know my father would have checked me.
Yes.
He would have checked me hard.
Yes, and that's the thing about it. Don't kids want discipline? Didn't
Yeah,
you want
big
somebody to
time.
discipline you?
Big time.
Just talk about that a little
Big
bit.
time. Like it was like because I was 13 and I started running track and I was great in track and instead of me using my talent as far as like running and being disciplined in my athletics, I started using my talent to get girls. So basically, I would just travel to different states and we would just have like
So you learned
sex
how to
with young girls.
manipulate.
Yeah, big time.
Wow.
At a very early age, 'cause I'm trying to really pacify that issue that went down when I was 11. So I'm like, 13, 14, traveling to California. And this is a true story. People that ran with the Newark Y know that it's a true story. We stand in hotels with lack of chaperones and young girls. You could tell that they didn't have fathers. So we were just, going crazy in the hotel rooms at 13, 14. So
Wow.
I wanted somebody to really check me because I could have gotten a 4-year scholarship to college if I would have had my father check me immediately and bring
Wow.
me in order and really
Oh.
because I had other fathers. I mean, my man, one of my boys from Newark, his name is Hop. His son actually got a 4-year scholarship to Tennessee,
Because his
and
father was
his
in his
father was
life.
right there in his
Wow.
life, big time,
Wow.
making
Do you
sure.
see how much a father not being in his son's life
Can affect your life
can
forever.
change your life to a whole different you become almost a whole different person.
Totally different person.
Right? A totally
Totally
different
different
person than
person.
what you really wanted to be, but nobody was there to give you the discipline and the support
Yep.
that a boy needs to be Michael Jordan, a boy needs to be Kobe Bryant, a boy needs to be in the NFL. If the father is there to support, that boy is gonna make it. I'm
Yes, he
sorry. So
is.
we have another caller. Welcome, caller. What's your name and where you calling from? Hello?
This is Neat calling from Pennsylvania.
Hi, Neat. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
I'm
Give,
good.
what would you like to add to this subject? What would you like to
Just
add?
say that as a woman, I get the men's side of it, but as a woman, it happens for young girls too.
Uh-huh.
I'm a perfect example of that, where my father was not in my life. I had a stepfather from the time I was 5, but I still was longing and yearning for my real father, who I hadn't seen since I was 5. And then when I saw him again at the age of 8, he came to my funeral, and when he left, he promised to stay in touch, and I never saw him again. The last time I saw him in a coffin.
Wow.
So, and I was 21 years old. So you figure from 8 to 21, I don't have that dad. For those years, I'm longing for my father's love. It led me to seek love and acceptance in other ways, hence child molestation.
Wow.
So I was molested from the age of 5 until the age of 16. But that was my idea of love. I was giving of myself because that's what I thought love was.
Wow.
At a young age. Even though I knew it was wrong, I continued to put myself back into the perpetrator's hands constantly, over and over again throughout my years, because I was really just my dad.
Wow.
I had a stepfather. He was wonderful to me. He raised me. He taught me. He supported me financially, emotionally, showed up at all my events. But I still needed my father.
Wow.
So by the time I went to meet my father, I was married in an abusive relationship and pregnant with my second child. So coming back from the funeral, I still didn't have any clarity. I thought that would be closure. There was no closure because he told his wife, his current wife, that I didn't exist.
Wow.
So that hurt me again. It dug a little deeper.
Yes.
So I was still seeking to have a father. And it's not only been in the last maybe 3 or 4 years that I've realized who I am and do some therapy and some hard tribulations.
Yes.
That I've learned that's what I was looking for all along. I was seeking for that.
Wow.
So in all my relationships, I always seek validation from anybody because I didn't get it from my father.
Exactly.
Wow. Thank you so much, Neat. Thank you
Thanks,
for being
Neat.
transparent. We appreciate you. And please to stay tuned in so we can discuss some of that, because it's almost like, thank you so much. We're going to let you go. It's almost like Rahiem said with the situation where he got caught in the instance with the guy in the car,
Yes.
that, it wasn't good for you, but somehow it felt good. Like her, it wasn't good for the molestation that she went through. But when you're seeking validation,
Exactly.
things that are not good for you may feel good to you,
Exactly.
because somebody's paying attention,
Exactly.
or inappropriate touch has turned you on or something like that.
Exactly.
So one of our viewers on GS Radio North said, how do you determine if the reason the son is a criminal is the fault of the father? There are many fathers present in the household and sons are still getting locked up, etc. We're not talking about fathers who are in the household, because there are exceptions to the rule. I'm going to keep saying this to you guys. There are exceptions to the rule. There are some kids who are just going to get in trouble.
Yes.
We get that. But the majority of these children in the inner city, and we're going to talk about black people right now, because that's the people that I know, that's the people that I'm around. The people in the inner city, most of these boys are being raised by single mothers, because the fathers don't have any accountability. They get to walk away. They get to get up, leave out the house. And like Lonnie said, Trey, if you got up and walked away, yeah, it would be abandoned, because you would abandon your kids. Well, the father got up and left.
So
Just
true.
because I'm there, it's not abandonment.
That's so true.
Just because we both got to leave, he got to leave first for it not to be abandonment.
Yep.
I got to leave my kids with their father and go about my business. And then if he leave, it's abandonment. No, the system is really screwed up.
Sure is.
And our children need us to start speaking up, and not just speaking up for money.
Yep.
Because we quick to go and fight in the court system for $20 more. We quick to go fight in the court system for $100 more. But we not here saying, Judge, this man don't come see the kids. And the only time we're telling the judge, this man don't come see his kids, is because we want some more money. Because if he comes to see the kids, it's less money taken out of his check or whatever. So, like I said, we got another caller. Can you get that? Yes. The system is screwed up on this topic. Yes, it is. So we're gonna let Rahiem talk a little bit more about his book. What was it that inspired you? Why did you feel a need to write this book? Because this book is very personal. Why did you feel a need to write this book and put yourself out there like that?
I mean, I felt the need to write the book because I wanted to expose the issues that caused me to live the way I was living. Because I was living a very crazy life,
Reckless.
Reckless life. Yeah, I was living a reckless life. A lot of my friends like lived reckless lives, and a lot of my friends from the hood, we never really had conversations about it, but just thinking about it, I was wondering, like, why do we find ourselves in situations? So I just wanted to tell a story and just to expose it.
Yes, yes.
And basically, that's why I started, and I always go back to that, born in adversity.
Yes.
And it's real critical for that father piece.
Yes.
Father piece is major.
Yep.
So I wanted to tell everybody, like, the reason why I sold drugs, the reason why I started engaging in sexual activity before time was because I was trying to fill a void.
Now I want you to just talk about, we have a caller?
Yes.
Caller, what's your name and where you calling from? Who? One more time?
Pam.
Pam,
This is Pam.
where you calling from, Pam?
Parsippany.
Hi, Pam.
Hey, Pam.
Hey,
Hi,
Pam.
how are you?
How are you?
Yeah, so tell us what you think about the topic.
I'm the one who actually started the comment about how do you determine
Yes.
if the reason the son is the criminal is the fault of the father.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we can't punish somebody for their actions if we don't know for sure that that's the reason why the child is the way they are.
Okay, well,
That's my take as far as the mandatory
mm-hmm.
sentencing or him serving time for his part in his criminal activity. How do we determine?
Well, we always know that when there are children in the home, and some children get in trouble because they just go through phases, right? So there's exceptions to the rule, but there are a lot of our children who are in the system right now, who are in jail, because they didn't have the proper discipline from a father not being in a home. From a single mother, like Rahiem saying, being a latchkey kid, which led him to run to the streets, to make his own money, to deal drugs. Had his father been in his life, and we have the brother sitting here saying this, had my father been in my life, probably would have avoided a whole bunch of the things that I did, based on the fact that, one, my mother wasn't able to be home because she had to raise us. Two, I felt like I had to be a man and take care of the household, so I had to go out and hustle and make money. And three, I felt abandoned from my father, and I was trying to seek validation from everywhere that I went, from anybody I could get it. So we're not saying we want to punish the fathers who are in the home. Exactly. But if you are an absent father who chooses not to be in your son's life, you need to be accountable for some of his behaviors. And this is just all of our opinions. So if you think that that's too harsh and it shouldn't be, that your opinion is well respected, but we're just all talking from our own opinions and having healthy dialogue.
Exactly.
No, it's not that I'm saying it's too harsh. I just have a question as to how do you determine?
You basically have to determine if the father is there or not.
It's basically you're talking
If
the father wasn't there, if he wasn't there, and let's say if he was there, and let's say the child still ended up in committing crimes and doing, things he shouldn't be
so
doing.
then the
Who
child,
pays the cost of that?
the child pays his own. If the father is active and in the child's life, whether he's in the home or whether he's visiting, the child is accountable for it, because the father is here doing what he's supposed to do. So the child is accountable for his own actions. But if the father is not there, why should he be excused for his child's poor behavior when he didn't even try to pour into the child?
Exactly.
We are letting men off the hook, and we're not here to bash men, and we're not here to make men feel guilty. We're not blaming them, because blame causes guilt. We're here to hold them accountable, because accountability causes growth. We need growth here. Our children are getting caught up in the system. Our children are doing 14, 15 years. They're going in jail at 14 and coming out at 28. They're going in jail at 12 and coming out at 30. At some point, it has to stop somewhere. And a lot of these children are raised in the inner city. A lot of these children are in single parent homes. And and I'm a single mom, there's only so much we can do by ourselves before a boy gets to a certain age and starts smelling himself and saying, now my father not here, so I'm the man of this house.
That's true.
Right? Did you feel it like that at some point?
Yeah, big time. Big time. I definitely felt like that. I felt like, I learned how, and I wrote that in my book, I learned how to manipulate at an early age. So it was certain things that I just did because I knew my mother was soft. I knew she wasn't going to, bring the hammer like my father would have brought. So definitely I started manipulating and acting out.
So how did you feel because you became a man at 16, 17 years old, you start to think that you're a man.
Exactly.
So how did you feel being in the house at 17 years old? Did something turn on in you to say, I ain't got to listen to her no more?
Exactly. I mean, I never really was disrespectful to my mother. I was disrespectful to my life.
Yes.
Because I never disrespected my mother. Everything I did behind her back.
Yes.
I did behind my back because she was working, she was grinding, and she was trying to provide. So I never was my mother and I, we're real tight. I never rose up against her, but I rose up against society. I rose up against my own self. And that's
Say
what
that
I
again.
did. Like I rose up against society. I rose up against myself. So basically, this subject was major because I believe that if my father or if fathers were held accountable from the very beginning, this whole society will change. And yes, it's going to be exception to the rules, but society really got to step up and make fathers do what they got to do.
Thank you, Pam, for calling in.
Thanks,
Oh,
Pam.
you're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. And the reason why I have Rahiem J. Allen here with us is because he's speaking from a place of being the very person that we're discussing right now. We're speaking to the 2-year-old Rahiem.
Exactly.
We're speaking to the 5-year-old Rahiem with the red tricycle. We're speaking to the 15-year-old Rahiem who started hustling with the guys on the block because it was a cool thing to do. We're speaking to the 18-year-old Rahiem who became a man and wasn't disrespectful to his mom, but said, I got to stand up against society because I got to do what I got to do because I don't have my father in my life to protect me. He hasn't been here. So guess what? I'm going to rise up and protect myself. So I want you, our time is up, unfortunately, but I want you to tell everybody where they can get the book from and where you're going next and what's next for Rahiem.
Okay. I thank you, Trey, for inviting me to this show. You can purchase my book on Amazon.com. It's on sale now. The sale is ending actually Monday. You can get it for $6.95. and then after Monday it goes up. But you go to Amazon.com. You can go to my website, lifetransform.info. And basically, we're just really just taking this message to the streets, and we're going to do some street crusades in the summertime, and just you'll be hearing more about it. I'm on Periscope, FS2TS, from the streets to the sanctuary, and I'm on Facebook as well, FS2TS as well, and Instagram as well, FS2TS. And I believe that brothers need to step up and do what they got to do, and let's create a revolution and make sure that fathers do what they need to do and support our sisters. And a message to the sisters: hold these men accountable.
Yes.
Hold these men accountable to the highest level, not just for child support, but to make sure they do what they got to do. And trust me, a man will do what he have to do if you hold them accountable.
Oh, thank you. This has been so wonderful. Yes, Lonnie. Lonnie said we need to do a part 2. Miss Shanice says she applauds you. From the streets to the sanctuary. You can get it on Amazon.com. Rahiem, maybe he'll come back to do part 2 with us, because this has been very enlightening to me. Because listen, I don't know everything. I'm not a man. I have never been a man who did not have his father. So like I said, when somebody goes through something like this, to me, they become an expert on a situation. And the fact that he wrote a book, everybody's saying yes, do part 2. Yeah. The fact that he wrote this book, From the Streets to the Sanctuary, it gives him authority on some things, because he sat down and thought this out and was very transparent. So we thank you for tuning into the Woman to Woman show. We thank you, Rahiem J. Allen. We are going to support you. I will have his information on the website. I'll have his book up on the website. Just please support this brother. I promise you, he's going all over the city, all over the state, all over the country, because this is a movement. This book is all about, really boiled down to, fathers needing their sons. Oh, one more thing, Tanya. Can I just, yes. I just want
South Central.
South Central.
The movie South Central.
Okay, and I want you to just tell me. I want you to just shout out some of the brothers in your life that held you accountable and brought you from the streets to the sanctuary.
Okay. First and foremost, my pastor, Bishop Donald Hilliard Jr. in Perth Amboy. He was one of the first people that really, impacted my life and really, taught me how to have a healthy relationship with the Father. And I can speak to Pastor Liddell Akins. He helped me out big time. We got in the business together. The brothers I'm walking with closely now is Timothy Massey. That's my brother. He wrote a book, 8 Steps to Wholeness. And my brother Seth Nix, he's a worship leader at the church. And he and I had crazy, wonderful conversations about him growing up in Brooklyn. My man Mark Williams, he helped me out big time. And Eric Bell. I got a lot of brothers. My brothers really, we hold it down. Nice. And we really keep each other accountable, making sure that we do what we got to do. And Damian Stewart, that's my man as well. We got an organization called BEIG, Building Empires Investment Group, where all of us have individual entities, but we come together to really, create a strong impact in the lives of our community. We actually sponsored a family this year for Christmas. We bought all their Christmas gifts.
Nice.
We gave them a great Christmas. It was wonderful.
And anybody else you want to shout out?
I want to shout out my wife. My wife, she makes me a better man. I give God praise for her. And, basically she holds me accountable. And I just want to give God praise to my son, because he's a better me. He's really making it happen. And I can honestly say,
he's a better me.
I had to drop him when he was 14 years old. He didn't like me again till he was 18. And I have an email. I have an email to say that he said, even though he didn't like me for those 4 years, but it made him a better man, because he knew that if he stepped out of line, I was going to get him back in line.
You gonna drop him?
Piece is major, yes.
You had to drop him?
Literally.
No,
not playing. I punched him in his face, and his mother said, "Don't punch him in his face." I said, "You know what? I got to make sure that he's all right, because he grew up in Newark. So
yes.
He didn't do anything I did."
We love it. Thank you so much. So we're going to sign off now, because we could go on and on forever. But again, please get From the Streets to the Sanctuary by Rahiem J. Allen. Support this brother, because when you support him, you support a movement and a mission, and you help our sons. You can find us at www.thew2wshow.com. www.thew2wshow.com. If you need support because you have been dealing with infidelity, your family is broken down, you feeling hurt, you a side chick, break chick, mistress, you just need some help to get out of the situation, you can email us at w2wshow@gmail.com. No judgment zone, w2wshow@gmail.com. And remember, cheating is a form of abuse. And if you are knowingly sleeping with somebody's husband, boyfriend, or fiance, you're an abuser. Cheating is a form of abuse. And if you are knowingly sleeping with somebody's husband, boyfriend, or fiance, you're an abuser. I'm Trey Kearney.
This your girl C.
This is Rahiem Jamal Allen.
Thank you again for tuning into the Woman to Woman show. We will see you guys soon. Peace and blessings. And
All right,
remember,
peace and blessings.
you deserve the best. Yes, I'm talking to you. You deserve the best. Now go get it. Peace.
Peace.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Dear sister, it's been a
Thank you
while
all for staying
since
on.
we've had our
Thank
last
you.
Thank you all
conversation.
for staying on with us. Thank you,
When I
Brother Kamani.
told
I
you a
appreciate it.
time that I couldn't get over my situation, you said, keep your head up. You reminded me that I was more than that, so I'm here to say thank you, because you held me down. Woman to woman, you lift me up. I hope that I can do the same for you. You were there when no one else would. Take the burden away, that's how we do. Sister, I need you to walk with me on this journey. Yes, hold me accountable, cause sometimes I need to know the truth. Sister, I love you. We're one and the same, cause we're sharing the pain of the world as we know it to be. Uplifted and feeling good. It's because of a strong and faithful sister. No need to tear each other down unite. All sisters all over the world. You can just name one, then you're blessed to have her in your life. So go to her and say thank you, because she holds you down. Woman to woman, you lift me up. I hope that I can do the same for you. You were there when no one else would. Take the burden away, that's how we do. Sister, I need you to walk with me on this journey. Yes, hold me accountable, cause sometimes I need to know the truth. Sister, I love you. We're one and the same, cause we're sharing the pain of the world as we know it to be. This song is dedicated to my sisters all over the world. It was inspired by the Woman to Woman show, hosted by Trey Kearney, recipient of the 2014 Journalist Awards. Ladies, let's burn together and restore love back into our society. Sister, I need you to walk with me on this journey. Yes, hold me accountable, cause sometimes I need to know the truth. Sister, I love you. We're one and the same, cause we're sharing the pain of the world as we know it to be. Sister, I need you to walk with me on this journey. Yes, hold me